So today I'm going to be making a pull-up couch using some leftover scraps of wood from my Jetmax cubes. You could use it with scraps of wood you have lying around your house if you have scraps of wood. The sizes of the pieces, I haven't cut mine down yet, so they're all different lengths. They're all going to be 13 inches long when I'm done. So what I'm using is a thin piece of wood that will be 6.25 by 13. So that's a thin piece. 6.25 by 13. It's a little bit longer than 13 right now. And then a thick piece that is 4.5 by 13. And then another thick piece that is 3 6/8 by 13. So they're all going to be 13, they're just not yet. So that's 6.25, 4.5, and 3 6/8. And then for the arms, I have two smaller scraps of wood that are 3.25 by 6 5/8. They're going to be the arms, and they're going to attach like that. I can't attach them yet because my wood is not the right lengths. Then I have 4 wooden knobs that I have painted white using craft paint. I have a glue gun with glue sticks. And I have a piece of fabric that I'm going to cut to 20 by 21 inches. And I have some scrap fabric that I'm going to make some cushions out of. Then I have this kind of upholstery fill for making upholstered items. And it's a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch thick. So I've got a lot of that. And I have some of this puffin stuff, which is a polyfiber fill. And I just need a tiny bit, like, well, more than that, but a little bit of it. So I'm going to make a couch using this. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of setting it up to see how this is going to come together. I'm just using a wipes container there to hold the back up. And I know I want the back to go at a bit of an angle so that it's a comfortable looking couch instead of having the back be straight up and down. I had to just size it there with my actual pull-up doll just to make sure that it was going to be the right size. That's going to look to scale for her. And you know, a lot of this stuff, you guys would have the measurements if you wanted to replicate this project, but I was just kind of trying to figure it out as I went, and so that's why I'm doing some measuring and figuring out at this phase. So now I have cut that piece of polyfiber, it's not polyfiber, it's that upholstery stuff, to the size that I have mentioned before. I don't have it with me right now. Yeah, 9 3/4 by 13. And rather than try to sew it, which I could have sewed it, but I just wanted to do this super quick. So I'm just using my hot glue gun because no one's going to see the back of it. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so I'm just using my hot glue gun to go ahead and attach this down. And my hot glue gun came with this piece of silicone, that's that gray square that you see, that just helps it to sit on something and not damage the surface. And so I'm just using that as a way to kind of protect my hands as I kind of press down on the hot glue to get it to really seal with the fabric without burning my fingers, because I'm a bit of a baby about burning my fingers. So yeah, I'm just kind of pressing it down, and then I just pull up any parts that are, you know, able to be pulled up. I just stick my hot glue gun nozzle in there and glue it down so that it's gonna be all neat and tidy and not have any gaping holes or anything. And so I'm basically wrapping this the way you would wrap a present. And I'm sorry that my head gets in the way here. I had my tripod positioned in a different way than normal, so I didn't know that my head was going to be showing, so sorry about that. Yeah, I had to kind of really get over it just to make sure that it was being centered and straight, and that all of the lines, because it is a pattern that has a kind of a horizontal and a vertical to it, I didn't want to have it be off. I wanted it to be as square as possible because of the pattern on the fabric. So now again, I'm just kind of doing some sizing, and it occurred to me that this cushion is probably not going to stay in a bent position on the couch without a doll in it, unless if I run a line of sewing down the middle of it like this. It's not technically down the middle, I just took what's going to be the bottom of my couch and drew a line along the edge of it so that I'd know where the cushion needs to bend. And now it bends quite easily and it stays bent and it looks like a couch when it's all done. So that's always a good thing. So here I have my 2 scraps. Actually, it's 4 square scraps of fabric that are cut to 3.5 by 3.5 squares, and I just went around it with my sewing machine. Now the first one, I left the hole way too small, and so it's taking me forever to get it tucked in right side out. But I have a little tool that helps with that. It just helps you pull the fabric through the little tiny hole, and then it also, you'll see me use it right here, and then it also helps you to poke the corners so that they're straight. And so this one, the hole was quite a bit bigger, so it was easier to turn around to the right side. So I just sewed a basic stitch. I kind of back stitched at the beginning and end of it and left a little hole. And now I'm just going to stuff these with the polyfiber fill. The first one is going to be really hard to stuff, so I'm going to give up on that one and stuff the first one, the one with the bigger hole first. And then I went back off, I turned off the camera because it was getting boring. So while I'm waiting for my wood to be cut, I'm thinking about using one of these other scrap pieces that I just have in my box here of scrap pieces, and using it for a little coffee table. It's going to be a very little coffee table. It's not going to be as big as a standard coffee table, but that's okay, as long as it's something like a place to put a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or something, depending on the scene. And so I'm just kind of comparing it to, this is not glued together, but I just have my couch kind of set up with the legs and the boards and the cushion, and I have a pull-up on it so that I can kind of see where I want it to be. So I'm thinking, you know, I definitely want it to kind of hide her knees, and so, and it'll be kind of out here. So what I did was I just kind of marked with pencil on the dowel where I want it to be, and I'm just double checking the height of it right now. So I'm going to get my husband, when he cuts all of these down to the right size, I'm going to get him to cut me 4 pieces of this at 3 1/4 length. Then I will paint it and use hot glue to create a little coffee table with this. I'll give you the measurements of this. It is 6 by 3 3/4. So my wood has finally been cut, and I'm just going to assemble it now. So I am just kind of sizing it and making sure that all the pieces are actually the right size and that they're going to fit together in the way that I had envisioned. And so I'm going to continue to use that wipes box, that baby wipes box, as a prop. Just had to get it out of my way while I try to kind of line up these pieces of wood. And I had to kind of re-glue there because I ran out of glue, and that glue really sets fast, so if you don't get to use it right away, you have to kind of reapply it. So now I'm going to put the arms onto the couch. So I have like a base that's a little bit bigger than the sitting area, and then I have my legs, or sorry, my arms, and I just lined them up so that they're going to be flush at the top. Now I'm going to put some little brads in these holes because this wood was part of what was supposed to be some drawers, and so there were pre-drilled holes, and I didn't want to just leave those holes plain because they look a little strange. You're kind of wondering, why are there holes in the couch? So I'm filling them with little brads that I think are going to look like kind of upholstery tacks or something, like some decorative things. And so yeah, I'm going to make it so that the outside looks pretty, and then I'm also going to put brads on the inside, and I'll show you how I do that in a second. So this is just the other side. So these are, again, still just the outside of this couch. And so if you had scrap wood that wasn't supposed to be drawers, yours probably wouldn't have holes in it, so you could skip this step. But if you wanted to, you know, put on any kind of trim, you could hot glue some ribbon or put some washi tape on to have like a band of pattern or something on the outside of your couch, just for interest. And so what I'm doing now is I'm picking out some more of the brads because I guess I ran out, and I'm just gonna put them in there. So now the outside is completely done, but there are also holes that show. Those holes in the back aren't going to show because the back of the couch is going to cover them, but there are 4 holes in the front, 2 on each side, and because there's already a brad sticking through from the other side, there's no room for me to put another brad in there. So I'm just going to cut off the little legs of these brads, so the little long part that you kind of put through your paper and then you kind of straighten it out on the other side. I'm cutting off those legs, and I'm just going to hot glue the tips of these brads, so it's like a fake brad, and I'm going to glue it into place just to cover up those holes on the inside. And they're tiny, so it's, you got to get them placed properly. It takes a bit of patience to get them on there so that they're covering the hole. The other ones were easy because you could just drop them in place and the legs kind of held them into the hole, but these ones you have to place properly so that it's going to cover the little hole. Almost done. Oh, I had to pull some glue out of the hole. It was getting too full. So there we go. And I'm not going to bother with those other holes because they're going to be hidden by the back of the couch when I put it on. So once I glued the arms onto the chair, they were so snug that that the back really did stay in the position that I put it in. I didn't have to worry about it kind of moving around while the glue dried or anything, because really the friction from the 2 arms being in there really tight held it in place. So I'm just going to run some hot glue. Ran out again. Sorry again about my head in the way. I'm just running a bead of hot glue across the back. I hope I show it to you guys so you can see where I'm doing it. And then I'm running another bead along the back where the arm is, and that's just going to hold everything in place so that nothing is going to move. When I sit the pull-up back, I don't want the back of the couch falling off, so that's just going to provide some security there. I'm pretty sure I'm going to glue it on the inside too. I can't remember if I did or not. So now, oh, I guess I didn't. I'm going to put the feet on this couch. And they are really just to raise it up off the floor. I don't really care for the look of the feet, but you're not going to really see them all that much under the couch anyways. I just needed the couch to not be sitting on the floor. So this is it completed. I'm just going to put the cushion on it and put it in place. And then I'm going to add my 2 little throw cushions that I made just to coordinate with it. And this is what it looks like. So I'm really pleased with how it turned out, considering that it was just scrap stuff.
So now I have to make a coffee table. I have a piece that is 6 by 3 3/4, and then I have 4 pieces of 1/2-inch dowel that have been cut to 3 3/8, and I'm just going to connect them in all the 4 corners. I'm not sure. I think this might be a good time to do some measuring, so I'm going to do that.
So this coffee table was quite an afterthought for this project, but I really am pleased with how quickly it comes together. I mean, you just kind of measure in. I'm just kind of deciding where I want them, and then I'm measuring the same distance on all 4 sides so that they can be, kind of at the same distance from all the corners. And I can't remember what distance I'm putting them at, but you can just kind of eyeball where it looks good and then make sure that you measure from all the 4 corners, and then there you go. So the fact that there's a bit of a slit going down the underside of my table makes it a little bit harder to measure properly, but I got the job done. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to stand without being terribly wobbly so that I can put things on the table. So I'm just getting rid of some of the glue goop, and here's what the finished project looks like. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. Take care.